Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mad Barn Academy. And if this is your first time tuning in, then welcome. We hope to earn your subscription today. I'm Dr. Fran Rowe, one of the veterinary nutritionists here at Mad Barn. And today's video will be part one in a two-part series on the equine digestive tract. If you've watched some of our past videos that focus on various GI diseases or issues, some of this information will already be a little bit familiar. But nonetheless, I wanted to provide an overview of the gastrointestinal tract and highlight some of the most common issues seen in various areas of the equine GI tract. So let's get started. The equine digestive tract is very long and quite complicated, and there are many steps to the digestive process. To make it more manageable, I've broken up this big topic into two parts, foregut and hindgut, and today we'll be focusing on the foregut. So some people might say that the foregut technically only refers to the stomach and the small intestine, but I like to include the mouth and esophagus as part of the foregut because the digestive process doesn't start in the stomach. We have to start from the beginning in the mouth. So let's do just that. The digestive process starts in the mouth with the process of mastication or chewing. Horses use their lips or their incisor teeth to grasp feed or forage and get it into their oral cavity or into their mouth. They'll then use their tongue to move that feed around as they chew. So horses chew in a circular motion that effectively grinds the feed between their teeth. This breaks the feed down into smaller particles and increases its surface area, which will aid in the digestive process later on. Horses produce saliva, just like other animals, but equine saliva doesn't contain very many digestive enzymes. Instead, saliva really acts as a lubricant to help with swallowing. And it's also going to help buffer stomach acids once that feed bolus reaches the stomach. So horses have anywhere between 36 and 44 teeth. All horses will have 12 incisor teeth and 24 cheek teeth including premolars and molars. Some horses will have canines, which are most commonly seen in males. And then some horses will also have wolf teeth, which are these very small vestigial premolars that often are removed when the horse is first starting into work. Because digestion starts in the mouth, keeping up with your horse's dental health is really important. It's recommended that all horses undergo an annual dental exam by a veterinarian to make sure that their teeth are healthy and functional and address any issues. Once the horse is ready to swallow, the tongue will move that ingesta to the back of the mouth to the pharynx to initiate swallowing. The act of swallowing is a coordinated reflex, which means that it's controlled by involuntary muscle movements. Ingesta is swallowed into the esophagus, highlighted in blue in that image to the right, which is essentially just a simple muscular tube that transports ingesta from the mouth all the way down to the stomach. In the average sized horse, the esophagus is going to be between 4 to 5 feet long. It follows the trachea all the way into the thorax. The trachea then terminates into the lungs, but the esophagus is then going to continue through the rest of the chest and then through the diaphragm before connecting to the stomach. So it really has a long way to go. The muscle contractions that move ingesta along the length of the esophagus are the exact same types of contractions that control movement of digesta throughout the gut. These contractions or muscle contractions are called peristalsis. In horses, peristaltic contractions in the esophagus are one way only. Unlike other species, horses cannot vomit or forcefully expel feed from their stomachs, which would require retrograde contractions or contractions that move in the opposite direction. Okay, now on to the stomach. So the equine stomach is located around rib 9 to 12 on the left side of the abdomen, which I've highlighted with a star in that upper image. The equine stomach size is actually relatively small compared to the size of the animal itself. And the equine stomach only holds about 2 to 4 gallons kind of under normal circumstances. But this sort of makes sense when we think about how horses evolved. They evolved to consume small, frequent meals through foraging. So they weren't really ever designed to feast on a large or gorge themselves on a large amount of feed. And so their stomach size doesn't really accommodate large volumes. Now, because that stomach is relatively small, and because horses cannot vomit when their stomachs do become over distended, they are at a real risk of gastric rupture because if there's a blockage preventing normal movement of digesta through the gastrointestinal tract and things back up into the stomach. This is why your vet will pass a stomach tube to relieve gas or relieve fluidy reflux in certain types of colic, because a ruptured stomach will be fatal to the horse. So ingesta is going to enter the stomach from the esophagus through the cardiac sphincter, which is a tight valve that really only relaxes to open in response to ingesta moving down the esophagus. On average, food remains in the stomach for about 3 to 4 hours before exiting into the small intestine through the pylorus. It's important to note that very little nutrient absorption actually occurs in the stomach. Instead, the stomach's main functions with regards to the digestive process are really a mixing, storage, and controlled release of feed into the small intestine, and secretion of an enzyme called pepsin, which will help begin the digestive process for protein specifically. The equine stomach is also unique because horses secrete gastric acid continuously, regardless of whether they're currently eating or not. Gastric acid is produced in the lower glandular region of the stomach, and this region has mechanisms that protect that stomach lining from constant acid exposure. However, the upper squamous portion of the stomach does not have these protective mechanisms, making that mucosal lining in the squamous region much more at risk for damage from acid exposure. And so prolonged exposure of acid in this region of the stomach is what results in gastric ulcer formation. From the stomach, digesta passes into the small intestine. There's about 70 feet of small intestine, which in situ or in the horse is really kind of bundled up amongst all that large colon, which we'll talk about in the part 2 video. You can reliably find small intestine in the left paralumbar fossa behind kind of that last rib, as well as along the ventral midline and kind of up into the inguinal areas on either side of the sheath or the udder. There are 3 distinct sections of small intestine: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum, which I've color-coded on that second illustration where the bowel has been laid out kind of for better visualization. Passage of feed through the small intestine is actually fairly rapid. It's approximately moving about a foot a minute, which can deliver digesta to the cecum in as little as 45 minutes after consuming a meal. A majority of non-structural carbohydrate, particularly starch, protein, and fat, is digested by enzymes and absorbed in the small intestine. Digestive enzymes are produced either by the pancreas and secreted into the small intestine, or secreted by small intestinal enterocytes themselves, and reduce starch into glucose, fats into fatty acids, and protein into amino acids. So basically breaking down those big molecules into their smaller building blocks for absorption. Additionally, the small intestine is where most vitamin and mineral absorption takes place. So some types of colic involve the small intestine. In most cases, the small intestine becomes obstructed for some reason. It twists, it gets trapped somewhere, something physically blocks the flow of that of the gut. And essentially, whatever the cause, it's going to prevent digestive from moving down the gut in a normal way. So horses with colic originating from the small intestine are often extremely painful, and they can really deteriorate rapidly. So it's really important to reach out to your vet immediately if your horse is showing really severe signs of abdominal discomfort, because the faster you act, the better the prognosis for that horse. I wanted to end today with a few examples of common conditions or diseases that affect the foregut. Now, this list is by no means exhaustive, but I wanted to go ahead and list out some of those more common conditions that you may encounter as a horse owner at some point. Now, we don't have time to do a deep dive into all of these individual topics today. I wish we could. So I've included multiple supplemental materials in the description of this video below. And if you'd like a video on one or more of these specific conditions, go ahead and put your request in the comments, and I'm happy to put that together. All right, you guys, here are references for today. And thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys found that little overview of the equine foregut helpful. Next video will be part 2, which will cover the hindgut. So we'll be able to kind of put everything together. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and be sure to check out the other videos on our channel. We have new stuff posted all the time on a variety of topics, so there's something there for everybody, and we're always adding new videos to our catalog. And then be sure to check out those additional links that I provided in the description that go into more detail about some of those common conditions that I listed. Okay, thanks so much. Until next time, guys.